So welcome to the big Premiership review post round 2, and thank you for all those kind comments after round 1 saying this is the sort of show you want to see, reviewing the games, the players, but also how players are looking for England as well. So if you're into that sort of thing, please subscribe, please like, and please share to someone else who's into the Premiership. So let's start it off with Bristol versus Gloucester. Bristol 41, Gloucester 44. I watched every minute of every game and I've got lots of rugby going on in my head, and this one was an absolute humdinger, as is probably every match that Bristol are involved in, because they play exciting rugby, they play the opposition, but they also kind of play themselves as well. Pragmatism isn't a word in Pat Lamb's dictionary at the moment. I still think they could do with being a bit more sensible at times if they're going to try and win the Premiership, which they could do, but I'm still not sure if never ever kicking it out of their own half is a good idea. I mean, maybe sometimes Max Malins might do something pragmatic, but generally they're just going crazy the whole time. It's fascinating to watch. It's exciting. Is it a winning attitude? I just don't know. Basically, I'm going to say it. I think Bristol should have won this one. They came back very strong in the second half, getting back to 41-41, but McGinty missed a conversion to take the lead. Then they dropped the restart, and that was kind of it. But they dropped off with some yellow cards, with some poor play in the middle there, but came back strong. Who's looking good? Well, goodness me, Harry Randall, Gabriel Ibitoy, amazing natural running talents. They scored the first try straight off a line out. It's a Randall offload to Ibitoy. His combination of pace and power is fantastic, a real potent winger. What about another winger? Christian Wade for Gloucester, a hat-trick, getting up on that Premiership scoring record. Could he get back into the England camp? I'm still not quite sure, but his rugby instincts are definitely still there. His support lines for the first try, he went for a try-saving interception and turned that into a length of the pitch try. So it was a fantastic game for Wade, certainly. A classic 14-pointer there where he went for the intercept because it could have been a try the other way. So he was a big difference between the teams, although I'm not putting him on the England watch list yet. Maybe that's a bit harsh, I don't know. His hat-trick try, a little bit lucky, a nice kick up the touchline, but goodness me, the bounce of the ball can make you look silly sometimes, and that definitely broke Wade's way. For Gloucester, the Freddie Clark team try in the first half was a thing of beauty. Gloucester can put together some lovely rugby. Zach Mercer at the heart of it all. The skills are amazing. The most skillful number 8 in the Premiership. If England want a skillful number 8, he is the man. If they're prioritising that over brute force, although I just don't think they will, so I think Zach Mercer is going to be frustrated once again. Let's talk about Max Malins playing for Bristol. He scored some tries. He's got those lovely passing skills of a fly half playing 15, buzzing passes wide. One off his left hand for Nalango's try. That was really good. He's got all the skills. Just not quite sure he's got that pace, especially with the new Dupont law on the kicking, that counter-attacking 15, super important. Last week, the fullback for Gloucester was on my England list, George Barton. His goal kicking looks unbelievable. Maybe not as much in attack this week, but he is one to watch. I mean, he couldn't stop Ibitoy, who powered over, so tough there, but difficult in defence for 15s. George Barton, though, looking good. The signing of the season for me for Gloucester is Thomas Williams, the scrum half. International class. He sets up a try for Anscombe with a really clever opportunist stab over the top kick. Really good stuff. You can see his leadership everywhere, hear him all the time. I think he's the man. I always pick him to start for Wales, even though Gatland doesn't always agree, but there's a reason, and this sort of game is that reason. He is just class. Now, talking of Nalango, the Bristol winger, similar to my comment last season, he can be a bit of a liability. He was stepped for Wade's first try and then simply a flying shoulder for his yellow card. Really don't like it. He does have it in the locker. Not quite sure on him. Other people on the England radar, well, it's great to see Ellis Genge fit and firing once again. I love the battle between him and the 20-year-old prospect Fazabong, and Fazabong probably won that one, even waved him off the pitch. That was fantastic stuff. Maybe showed his inexperience in the next scrum because he got turned in, even though he won the initial hit, but certainly I think he is definitely one to watch. So let's put him on the England watch list for this week. So good to see these young front rowers, especially tight heads, getting these starts. Ibitoy, he looked amazing. There have been questions about his defence in the past. He seemed to be pretty good today. His kicking was pretty good. Add that to his all-round running game, which is maybe the best in the Premiership, so I'm going to put him on the England list. And finally, you can't take your eyes off Harry Randall. Despite the yellow card instrumental for the first try for Ibitoye and Malin's try, he squeezed through the smallest of gaps for his try after half-time. I think he simply has to be in the England squad. So on that England watch list for this game, we've got Fazabong, Ibitoye, Randall and Malins. On to the second game, Harlequins 28, Newcastle 14. In summary, this was a better game for Newcastle. Even though they lost, they look pretty good in places. They do have a decent team there, but that really is their problem. They played pretty well in this game, but still came nowhere near winning. Harlequins were a bit bitty. They were okay, but they get the win at home, so they'll do better. Maybe they were a little fortunate playing Newcastle rather than a better team. But yeah, it was a solid showing from the Falcons. Some tidy wide play. Scrum half stewards. Box kicks were mammoth. Guy Pepper's replacement, Tom Gordon, a Scottish flanker, born in New Zealand, signed from Glasgow. He was amazing. And another good signing, massive Sammy Arnold in the inside centre slot from Brive. He was a one-man demolition job and some good hands, actually. He's going to be really, really useful. The thickest legs in the Premiership of any centre, like having a forward in the backs, one huge counter-ruck, I remember. So some good signings, some good defence and some good team tries. But like I said, playing well and still losing, that's what's going to hurt them. And I do think they're still on for a bottom of the table finish, I'm afraid. But on 5 minutes, it was the perfect start for them. A beautiful team try. Radwan's footwork and speed was instrumental in this try and the build-up to their second team try. Then we got some carries and offloads from Blamire. So they're in the picture, but it's still going to be tough, losing every week if you like. But Newcastle's attack coach, Tom Williams, take a bow. I thought it was a really good attacking game as team attack and coordination. On 15 minutes, the young Quinn prop and England summer tourist Finn Baxter, he won 2 scrums in a row, and the really smart front line out move executed by Will Evans, putting young Jabulu in for a try. And Quins were trying some new players. They were trying Cassius Cleves on the wing. They were giving Jabulu a debut, and many of you guys last season said Jabulu is going to be amazing, and I think he is. Maybe a little bit early for England, but he's going to be so good. So many good front rowers coming through. And talk about Will Evans, he continues to impress. Goodness me, I think I'm going to select him in my teams for England now. I can feel it. Last season I was kind of resisting, but his form is just so good, carrying on from last year. I don't think you can ignore it. So yeah, he goes on the England list. And talking of Cassius Cleves, he floats like a butterfly, he stings like a bee. An amazing third try that he created. It's a double pull behind play to get him into space and just rocket shoes, unbelievable speed, roast the Falcons' wide defence and creates that try. Although he did get an injury, I hope it's not that serious because he looks just pretty special. We got our old nemesis, the bolt upright tackle from Opatiembo, and that was a bad yellow. I really don't like seeing those upright tackles. He did a few of those. No, they're going to get yellow cards and red cards. It's just going to happen unless you dip. Other players to mention, Callum Chick, the number 8, he's really good. He's 27 now. He's got a couple of caps for England. A bit like Tom Willis, a big bruiser. Does he have that athletic peak explosion that we need from a number 8? Not sure, but he wouldn't let you down. Baxter, like I said, was a rock in the scrum. And Yanwu at 12 was a real contender for sure. Now, Chandler Cunningham South was playing 8 for the injured Dombrat, and he is a horrible carrier in the best way. He's the most explosive carrier in the Premiership, more than Alfie Barbary, in my opinion. But his work on from last season was keeping the ball in contact and not losing it. And we saw it again, losing a couple of times in contact in this game. And that is his work on, because if you're going to carry big, that's fantastic. But if you lose the ball, you lose all that good work. So he's got to improve on that. But goodness me, he's an absolute monster. Other big names, we've got Marcus Smith returning for Quins. Sometimes he's a bit of chip and hope, sometimes if it's not on. Compare him to Finn Smith, who kind of plays the percentages. Sometimes he does kick it away, but also loads of great skill, good goal kicking. He creates stuff for sure, but that would be my work on for him. Don't always just chip it away if it's not on. Give it to a forward and restart. Then the final player I'm going to put on my England list is the scrum half for Quins, Will Porter. Incredibly quick service, just whisking the ball away. Love to see it, and when he gets in space, he has got rocket shoes as well. So many good options at scrum half for England. So on that watch list are Will Evans again, Will Porter and Lennox Anianwu. Then on to Saracens 45, Sale 26, and this was just a step too far for Sale. They gave their all, they did okay, but they were overpowered by a superior Saracens side. Sale were shorn of a few players. Tom Curry was out with a head injury. Jean-Luc Dupree went off early on. George Ford had to go off for a quad tear. It doesn't look too bad, but could be a race against time for November internationals. But certainly they were struggling for players. After 20 minutes, Sale broke the deadlock, and I hate to say it, maybe we can see why Rhys Carré wasn't selected by Warren Gatland for Wales. Beaten badly in the scrum by 20-year-old and a lot smaller Apoko Fajor, who was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal for a 20-year-old. Made him look silly, and then Rob Dupree just runs around Carré far too easily, so not great. And then Apoko Fajor beats Carré in the next scrum anyway, or one just before half-time, so definitely a tick for Apoko Fajor. He has to go on the England list as a tight head, at that age of 20. It's just phenomenal. Yeah, made Carré look a bit silly there. Ultimately, they get a penalty from that scrum. Now, that scrum just before half-time resulted in a penalty to put Sale ahead. They were down to 14 through a yellow card as well, so that was good. Sale were ahead 12-13 at half-time. But then Saracens begun to pour on the power. The quality came through. The carries from the likes of Ben Earl, Tom Willis, just causing dents all the time, getting gain line. Hugh Tizard looks like an absolute lump this season. They couldn't deal with him, and they were getting over the gain line. And yeah, Tom Willis is definitely one to watch. I'll put him on the England watch list. Is he quite quick enough? I don't know, but goodness me, he does everything so well. A big, strong lump for sure. An amazing attitude. He's got to be close. And one thing that was really impressive for Saracens was their defence, just suffocating, just a blanket, and Sale struggled to make any telling headway. The wingers for Saracens, yeah, they look pretty good as well. Rotimi Sagan has got that all-round game now. 27 years old. Is it a bit late to make a charge for international honours? I don't know. Maybe the hot property is Tobias Elliott, the other winger. He's only 21, 6'1". He looks like a real prospect, really good speed. He could get some more power on his frame, so I think he goes on the England watch list as well, so definitely one to have a look at. He scored his try on 52 minutes with a lovely long pass from Alex Lazowski. He's got some great skills in the centre. A really bad missed tackle from the Tuolangi replacement, who is Nike Levu, the Fijian international, who used to be one of the best centres in the world, but something's wrong, and he was taken off straight after that, so I don't know if he's injured or not, but that was too easy. And then just before the end, we had a veteran Alex Good with a handoff and a magic grubber for Daly to score. Classic stuff. And then Jamie George with a driving maul, who at the moment seems to be the sub-hooker for Theo Dan, so that's interesting to see if that continues. Now, in the rest of the game, Sale made it really hard work for Saracens, but Saracens do get that bonus point with the clock in the red, so that was a very useful bonus point and a good win for Saracens. So on the England watch list, Apoko Fajor, Tobias Elliott and Tom Willis. Then on to Northampton versus Exeter, 30-24, maybe just the home advantage coming through. Two teams I really like, but to be honest, Northampton don't look quite up to where they were last season. Of course, they've lost Laws, they've lost Ludlam, they haven't got Mitchell back yet, so Mitchell coming back will help, but still just look a little bit lighter than they were last year. Exeter, I love their lineup. They've got lots of exciting young players. They need to mature, need to come together as a team a bit more. So 2 losses, I think, belies their quality. I think they're a really good team. After 9 minutes, we get a classic Saints try. Last season, their attack was phenomenal. Augustus this time hit a sick line off Langdon to create for England lock Alex Colt, who looked really good in this game. Big, athletic, nice offloads from him. Imperious in the line-out. He's surely going to be a November international squad member. He is on the watch list for sure. Curtis Langdon looking good as well. Not quite on the watch list, not quite making that massive impact in the loose he did last season, but goodness me, his line-out throwing looked good. One bullet, 25-metre over-the-top throw caught the eye, that was for sure. On 26 minutes, we saw Exeter going through attacking phases a bit more, but they're just a little bit slower, and they're not making the breaks, combined with some really good defence from the Saints. They just can't go through until Harvey Skinner does a show and go and feeds Woodburn to break that deadlock there just before half-time. Now, Exeter love to get the ball in the hands of Emmanuel Faye-Wabusu as soon as possible, in and around the ruck in phase play, just ducks and dives over the gain line, scored some tries as well. He had another good game. A better game for Finn Smith this time around, doing the basics well, which is his unique selling point. A controller, not doing too much individually, but his kicks, his passes, taking the ball to the line, really good. Like I said, very different to Marcus Smith, who tries more flair stuff. So 2 contrasting fly halves. If you have them in the team, Finn Smith looks a bit more like a starter maybe, but he's not got that massive physical ability that other players have. So it's an interesting one, but Finn Smith, almost perfect game, caps it off with a long drop goal at the end there to take a 20-point lead to the Saints on the hour. Let's talk about Saints flanker Tom Pearson. He is an absolute physical beast. Goodness me, carrying, tackling, he is the best physical open side in the Premiership. My criticism in the last game were the first 3 passes were to ground for him. The first one in this game was to ground as well, so it seems to be a recurring theme, but he is so physically amazing. Could that justify alone his England place? He can work on his skills, I guess. Roots was an absolute brick for Exeter as well, but goodness me, Pearson just looks a different animal. Now after half-time, an absolute disaster for Exeter as they don't protect Maunder with the box kick at all, and Munger charges it down. He's been a real grafter this season. Is he quite big enough for international second row? I'm not sure. But that was a good individual try with a charge down and the score. And then on 48 minutes, absolute fantastic stuff from Smith, from Furbank. 3 crossfield kicks in a row, just stretching Exeter that bit too much. And Hutchinson sneaks in. I mean, Exeter covered it fairly well, but they just can't deal with that sort of skill. Furbank at 15, impressive again, and he's got those fly half skills at 15 and the counter-attacking, which mean he is such a good player. Now to me, at the end of the match, the Saints subs, I have to say, weakened the pack a bit. You got Smith, West and Green coming in the front row, who don't look as good. They just fell down a little bit, Saints, as Exeter came back. Now Exeter subs are having the desired effect. We had Riggs coming on and running hard in the centre. They go through mountains of phases, 20 plus. Munger, Hutchinson, both go high on Woodburn, and Hutchinson cops a yellow for that, and Chiefs score off a scrum. Since Northampton are shorter backs with that yellow card, Emmanuel Bosu scoring again out wide, but there's not enough time, so Exeter are going to be gutted once again. Another loss. They felt they could have won it, but Northampton are off and running. I don't quite think they're the team they were last season, but we will see. Exeter can get a lot better. On that England watch list, Finn Smith, Alex Coles, Tom Pearson and Ethan Roots. He was really tough for Exeter. Now the last game of the round was a classic rivalry between Bath and Exeter. That was from the days when they were the dominant forces in English rugby, and it was an absolute bash fest. Amazing defence for the first 20 minutes as both sides take turns to pound the line and are held out. And it's Leicester who break the deadlock. Really good wide play to Liebenberg. He is a force of nature, that flanker. Amazing stuff. Feeds Hassel-Collins, but he commits the ultimate sin of a winger, and he's grounding the ball with one hand, doesn't take care and drops it. And he's been trying to get back into the England squad, and I just don't think he's going to do it with mistakes like that. He held his head in his hands. He knew what he'd done. Now Leicester cops a yellow card. Parisi with a bit of a clumsy shoulder charge, so they get an extra man do Bath, and they create the first try with Butt sliding around the outside with good pace. The ball bobbles, but Lawrence scoops it up and offloads to Muir. Lawrence looks really good in 13. I know they play him 12 for England, but could Butt be the guy that goes there? They both go on the England watch list. Could they play together for England? Now let's talk about Finn Russell. He can be amazing and he can be infuriating. Made some mistakes this time. Some kicking, wasn't very good at goal, and he missed 2 kicks to touch in a row. And with the Dupont law, meaning he'd have to put Bath back onside if there was no one behind him. He didn't put them onside in time. JVP fields the kick, has a field day because no one can catch him. And also then he just dummies Spencer and scores as well, just to rub it in. So that was a bad play from Russell. Cost a try there, but great score for JVP. Let's put him on the England watch list because there's another scrum half that could do a good job. On 47 minutes, a perfect set-piece try from Bath. Really nice stuff. Russell with a lovely wide pass as Butt pulls it behind. Bailey's on, so they've kind of got 2 10s anyway, and he puts a lovely perfect pass onto de Glanville at full pace. Really good execution. Russell misses the goal kick, so it's only 10-10. Guy Pepper scores a try, and let's talk about Guy Pepper. His first start for Bath coming from the Falcons, and I'm comparing him to Tom Pearson. I'd say Pearson is more physical, but Pepper is more rounded, better skills, a bit quicker over the ball, some really good turnovers in this game, and right place at the right time for his try. So I think he goes on the list as well. Certainly a good all-round 7. And just at the end, Cronin muscles over, but it's too late. Vola slices the easy conversion wide. Anyway, fiercely competitive, but Bath just the better side, although you could say if Ollie Hassel-Collins had scored, it could be very different. A couple of other notes. We had the return of Anthony Watson. Be interesting to watch how he goes. And Michael Checker looks definitely like a Leicester coach, getting all aggy. I think he got a bit of a disciplinary, talking to a doctor in the wrong way. Kate got a red card in the first game. Parisi a yellow here. So could be a bit of a theme. They're going to be tough to play against, that's for sure. So England watch list for that game. JVP, Guy Pepper, Will Butt and Ollie Lawrence. So that's the big Premiership review for round 2. All the players that I thought that looked really good, especially on that England watch list. Let me know what you thought down below. If you like these sorts of videos, do like, do subscribe, and until next time, I'll see you then.